Welcome back to D1 Rejects, episode 86. One of my favorite guests we've had on the show today, joining us, Jason Couch, the head coach at Alma College. We'll get to his conversation in a little bit. Tonight is February 9th, 2023. We had a little bit of a small break. We skipped one episode, just a lot going on, busy up here in Marquette. But we should have a good list of guests coming on the show in the next couple of weeks. I'm joined tonight, not by the usual jabronis in the chairs across from me. Trevor E. What's going on? And Trevor, joined by fellow offensive lineman Jack Chappelle. Oh, you're going to say your name for me.
I thought you paused, so, it's kind of awkward. Want to make sure. I'll lock in, though.
You're good. Lock in. No, that's all right. That's good. We brought the size today to the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably the biggest crew we've assembled. That's saying a lot because we had Jake Witt in the studio last week. So
I heard Jake Witt's weighing 300 pounds now. That's crazy.
And he doesn't look it.
No.
Which is the craziest part. Yeah.
No.
That's the craziest part about it.
He made that couch look like it was a beanbag chair.
The couch is low. It's set low. The couch is set low. Shout out Marketplace out here. Yep. Top that one. Might have to put a little riser on the couch. All right, that can be figured out later. But this episode, besides Coach Couch, get that conversation soon. And if you want to go to that conversation right now on YouTube, use the little timestamps, bottom of the screen, red bar. Fast forward, then get the hell out of here. Otherwise, listen to all this other great stuff we have. We got Combine invites for 3 Division II players that have been officially invited to the NFL Combine ahead of the draft. We're going to break down those guys, talk about maybe some draft predictions for these guys, how their stock has risen. And Wayne State, they hired Tyrone Wheatley as their new head coach, the former All-American out of Michigan. Big-time hire for them. A little bit shocking to see Paul Winters out at Wayne State, especially with a interim athletic director. Kind of crazy news out of there, but that happened back in late January. We just haven't had a chance to talk about it, I think, on the podcast yet. So going to break that hire down. As far as the NFL scene goes, Super Bowl preview, couple notes on some injured guys that may or may not be playing this weekend because that is when the Super Bowl is. Russel Wilson and his charitable foundation might have just got exposed, fellas, pretty bad. We're talking like Brett Favre level bad.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's pretty much the same thing.
It really is. It's money that should be going towards a great cause that ended up going towards somebody's pockets.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what it is.
People close to him, too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to break that down, see what's going on with his foundation. And finally, Damar Hamlin, apparently, and this is quote, guarantee from an expert, guarantees he will play NFL football again. That is the latest word, which is surprising as hell, to be honest, especially in the short time frame that has transpired between his injury and now.
How long has it been? 2 months?
Not long enough to be saying things like that.
It hasn't even been 2 months, has it?
Yeah.
No.
So we are going to talk about that. Very interesting scene there in Buffalo. But as always, you can watch this episode on YouTube. Like I said, don't forget about the timestamps, bottom of the episode. Fast forward to any of the funny bits of this, and then just keep listening. You can listen pretty much anywhere else, though. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can follow us on Twitter at D1_Rejects, on Instagram and TikTok at Division I Rejects to see highlights from the show. But before we get into all of that fantastic conversation, let's go to the man, Jason Couch from Alma College. Joining us on the show today, a man you don't want to see on the opposite sideline. I'm hype you up a little bit here, Coach. His Scots had a hell of a year, topped it off with their first playoff win in program history. He rocked the kilt through all of it on game day. It's D3 Football's Regional Coach of the Year, Jason Couch from Alma College. Coach, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't pumped about this one. I'm excited to get you on here, man.
Well, I'll tell you, with an intro like that, I'll be on every week. I mean,
that is great.
You're building my ego here, man. I love it.
That's what I tell everyone, man. I got to butter you up a little bit at the beginning, get you talking, and then that's how we get the best conversations. I mean, that's what we got to do.
There you go.
I love it. Well,
thanks for having me on, man. I love what you guys are doing. You're having some fun, right? What an amazing job you're doing. You're college students and found a passion and roll with it, man.
Hell yeah. And that's what we were talking before I hit the record button just a couple seconds ago. I mean, find home, right? And then also just find something you're passionate about and run with it. And that's what I try and do every day. It's been a blast. But I will say a close second to doing the podcast is seeing you in the kilt on the sidelines. I got to know how that originated and how long have you been doing it?
So it originated when I interviewed for the job.
Okay.
So I was talking with my wife. I said, if I get this job, I think I should coach in a kilt. And she's like, excuse my language, hell yes.
She was
right?
on board right away with the kill.
She was so on board. She's like, you have great kneecaps, man. Show them off, right?
Some Dan Campbell quality kneecaps.
Nothing else, trust me. But you know, so she told me, yeah, you gotta do it. So I get offered the job in January. You know, months go by. I meet with all this is a funny story. You shut me up when you want me to, but
hell no.
So I'm meeting with the band director here because the entire marching band, 100 members strong, they're all in kilts. They're unbelievable. Bagpipes rocking, love it, right?
Shout out.
And so I meet with Dave Zerby, the band director. And I said, man, I need a kilt. And he's like, why? And I said, because I want to coach in one. And he is just blown away. He's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, no coach has ever done it. He goes, nope. And so then he's like, you know what? Because kilts are expensive. Like true, authentic, full kilts are a few $100, right?
Yeah,
and
quality. Because obviously you can't, this isn't some run of the mill. This is a game day. Yeah, it's got to be top of the line. Yeah,
that's right. So, so he goes, hey, I have this alum. He's kind of big guy. He just died and donated his kilt back. So I think you'd fit. And I'm like, so really, I think he said fat guy. So then I was like, I mean, I'll avoid I'll avoid the rip and take a free kilt anyway. So I take, sadly the kilt fits. And so then I have the kilt. I'm ready. I order a few other things, right? I started to learn the sporran and all this other stuff, right? That I got to get and got to accessorize, right? And so I told my wife, it's going to be home games. There's just so much going in. And my first game was away. First college game as a coach was away. I'm like, I'm too nervous to bother with that. Let's do it, home games.
Okay.
And then probably 2 nights before, I'm like, I don't think I can do it. And she she called me out. She's like, you're such a wimp, and all this stuff. And so then I call one of my captains in on Friday and said, you probably heard, rumors. I figured we're out. I'm like, but I was thinking of wearing a kilt on the sidelines. Should I surprise the guys walking into the locker room or should I, tell them?
No way.
He's like, nobody has a clue. He goes, walk into the locker room, full gear. And then, so I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm even more nervous, right? So I go in there. It's like, music stops. Everybody stops talking. They look at me. There's a pause. I start sweating more, right? Like, oh no. And then they erupt, right? They go crazy. Like, yeah. And so it has stuck since September of 2018. Every home game, I wear the kilt. Love it, whether it's 90 or our first playoff game. I think it was 17 degrees with 40-mile-an-hour winds. And
Kilt stays.
God.
And I was rocking the kilt, man. So
now, traditionally, I've heard from a couple different people here.
The question I'm asked so much.
What is worn under the kilt, if anything, on game day?
Okay, you asked on game day.
Yes. On game day.
I have underwear on game day.
There we go.
I would love for the Alma College to get highlighted on ESPN, but I don't want it to be if I get taken out on the sideline. Yeah. So I figure I better protect myself in the college by covering up a little bit.
You know what? I can respect that. I can respect those reasons. You guys are going to make it on there, and it's going to be for the right reasons. All right? It's not going to be for that one.
Actually,
go ahead.
So after that first game, Dan Patrick did a thing on it. And
really?
He goes, I have a new favorite college football team in Michigan. And it was, the picture of the kilt.
That is pretty sick, man. That is pretty sick. And I was just thinking, we could start a new wave. College coaches kind of embracing that side of their teams. We get Mel Tucker to come out in some Roman armor or something. We could have newly hired Wooster at Grand Valley, maybe a little sailor's cap on the sideline. I mean, you could go wherever with this.
Absolutely, right?
I think we got to get some more coaches to buy in. I was just thinking too, Calvin, I believe, is joining your guys' league, correct? First time for them to have a football team. Who's to say they don't come out in a Knights helmet on the sideline?
Oh, I think I'd go full battle armor, right? I mean,
you don't stop at the trying to do a play call with like the mask, maybe like you flip up the little visor.
I would hope to play him early in the season when it's 90 and he just, he melts inside that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
People ask me a lot, why do I do it? It really, honestly, it started with, that's one way for me to externalize my pride of being back here and coaching here, being an alum.
Yep.
All of it just means so much to me. So it's one little way. And you know what? I love it. I mean,
hey, we do too, man. A lot of people do. It's not, I think for just to see a coach who, and in the certain ways, depending on how you do it, people could consider it like a corny thing. And I'm sure maybe some people were worried about that at the beginning, maybe yourself too. Yep. But when you have a dude that's passionate about their team and about their culture and their program, their university, everything like that, you do it for all the right reasons, right? So you're not doing it just to get clicks, which is what a lot of people do things like that for. So I think that's the thing that differentiates it for me, is you're doing it for the right reasons. And I know the guys down there buy into it, right? Like that's no question. Like they love that shit. So I applaud you because I love seeing it. I know they do too.
Well, I'll try and find you a video, or you guys are better at tech than I am, but I bet the team one time we win this game and I'll do the worm for you. So
no way. Someone's got video.
There's a video out there of me. I got a call. It made on, like Speedway pumps.
You're kidding.
Oh yeah. I
pumping the gas, turn over, and you're
an alum in Wisconsin saying, I just watched you do the worm.
That's incredible, dude.
I'm in my kilt.
I swear I saw that
TikTok.
Video somewhere, actually.
It's incredible.
I don't know if it's someone I know that plays at Alma, but I saw that video. I can't remember where.
You're probably pumping gas.
Probably was.
Oh, but like you said, obviously proud for you to be an alum of where you're currently at, and a lot of firsts for your team this year. Talk about just how special it was to lead this squad. And I guess more specifically, I want to know if there was a specific moment, whether it be in the beginning, the first couple weeks of the season, or if it was something in the preseason and fall camp where you kind of sat down and maybe got together with your coaches and were like, this group is special and we kind of know they can do something like that. Was there a specific moment where it all kind of clicked, or, the pieces just kind of fell as they may?
Well, first of all, I mean, I got to plug it. You met Ettinger and
the man,
the rest of my coaching staff. Everybody was back with the exception of one. And we had one retire and a new addition, but the rest was back. And so we're all on the same page, right? We're all talking the same lingo. And our seniors were 26 strong, and they, like you, right? They weathered through COVID on campus, and because we sat down when they were freshmen and said, if you guys stick together, we're going to have something special here.
Yep.
And so they retained it over 50%. Right. Wow. And I, give them a lot of credit for believing in each other and in the program. So we started a year ago. So in January, we always have kilt style. That's our culture.
Yep.
We can talk about that later if you want, but we started this climb as our year's motto. Right. And that's an acronym. But more importantly, I think it gave guys a visual, like we have this mountain that we need to climb. January, I look up at a mountain, I'm going to say, heck no, I'm not doing it. Right. That's too big. But if you take step by step by step, you take January, February, March workouts, that's a piece of the mountain. And then we have spring ball. And then they leave me, right? They go away in the summer. They go home. I'm nervous because I don't know what they're doing.
They might fall down the mountain. They might take some more steps.
Right? And then here comes camp. And it was a few days into camp. We're waiting for the one day, the slip practice, the practice that you're like, okay, let's hope we got that out of our system.
Oh yeah.
So it's like practice 2, 3, 4. I think it was the second day of pads, and it just kept building off of each other. And I try to be an open book with the guys. I want, I think if you're open with them, then they, respond well. And I said I'm like, do you guys feel something special this year? I mean,
No
because we talk about it. Now, let's not get, I don't want to outgrow our helmets or anything, but we've got a long ways to go. But if we, keep one step at a time up this mountain, we could have something special. And then, we went through the non-conference games, and there was something different. We went 4-0 a year ago, right? In 2020, what year are we in? 2021, and we ended up 5-5. So 4-0, and then we finished 5-5, and I'm just sick to my stomach. And and then the climb started, right? And so then we went through the non-conference. It did feel different, right? We won games in fashions that we should have won games. And then going into the conference, that's where it's we prep the guys like the new part of the mountain, right? That it's going to be a challenge. It's a dogfight every single game.
I like the mountain analogy. I think that's good. And
works,
I know up here with Coach Rich, our new coach up here, his spin on it is, how do you eat an elephant, fellas?
All the time.
One bite at a time.
All the time.
One bite at a time.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
I was saying.
I got you.
What is it?
Jeez.
But yes, one bite at a time. That's how you take an elephant down. And
Yeah.
this is
Absolutely.
along the same notes. I will say though, outgrow your helmet might be one that I need to introduce to my vocab here. That's pretty good.
So it was just about, not slipping and keep moving forward, win each day. We say that a lot. And so I think though a big game for me, I kept my glass, I get to be an emotional guy a little bit, and I'm very transparent in my expressions and stuff.
Love it.
My wife says I'd be a terrible poker player, right? But I got emotional. I kept the glasses on after that win, because I did. That's when to me, I'm like, yep, we got something going here. And meaning I had some tears in the eyes, because when we played Trine, they're a good ball club, and we took care of business pretty good in that game. And at their place, homecoming, I thought we had something pretty special. So still had several weeks to go. We had a bye week to deal with, which, to be honest with you, we looked at and we're like, we have the perfect bye week, right? It's right before Hope, a rival, and we had so much momentum going at that time. I think it might not have been, but anyways, the results, were good against Hope. And again, to go back to that climb analogy, after we were 8-0, we had Adrian left, and then the matchup against Albion.
Oh yeah.
Albion was undefeated as well. People wanted to talk about week 10, and we still had week 9. So that mountain came really into, used it a lot as a visualization of, guys, we're not going to get to that peak if we take a slip, if we slip right now. So focused on that Adrian week, and we're able to match up against Albion at 9-0 for, conference championship.
The build up to that just had to have been awesome. And we talked to Ettinger about that one, and him, talking with Bureau earlier in the year at the JV game, I believe he said, and just kind of mapping it out like, what if, right? Kind of almost messing around, but at the same time knowing that both the squads could potentially go on runs like that. I just, I'd have to imagine, and not to make you pick one or the other, but obviously the Albion game, how big that was in that point in the season and conference play, and just all the chips felt like they were stacked up to that moment. But then not only do you guys go and play a playoff game, but you win your first one in program history. Compare those two environments for me, as tough as that is, and just how special both those moments were.
Albion was crazy. Our alums came back. I mean, right, we have good tailgates. I mean, we're certainly not a Michigan State in numbers.
Fair.
I think a few parents have "We Tailgate" like D1 on their, sweatshirts. So they're proud of that. But there was probably 8 to 10 motorhomes on Friday night. They had their campfires going. They were geared up for
That is
Albion.
electric.
Awesome.
It filled up by 9 a.m. It was, people had to park and walk into the main tailgate area. So having that environment where our alums, certainly the school was just having a blast, right? And the students, and I know it was good for the college. I talked with our tennis coach who said, our golf coach who said he had 4 recruits there that day, and he thinks all 4 committed.
Clean sweep, love it.
Well, they're looking like, we get to do this every week. Sure,
Yeah, where are the papers at? Where do I sign?
But it was just that environment, and first time in 18 years. So we were hungry for it, and Albion is a phenomenal team, and Dusty, Coach Boer is a great guy and friend, and probably become even closer friend now that we're not coaching again.
I love that. That's awesome. So, that's pretty special, man. But
Mount St. Joe, certainly.
Yeah.
Going into that week, we were worried. The first meeting was absolutely, let's be happy. We're going to pick out rings. We're going to do all the fun stuff, but don't be satisfied, right? Because I've seen it in high school level. Yeah, we finally made the playoffs, right? And then the first playoff game, you don't come out and perform because you were, satisfied with being there. And it takes that one time to get there to know what's coming, right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong. We're certainly talking conference, and we're not looking past game 1 or 8 or 10. But now it's like, let's keep raising the bar, right? So
I love it, man. And what I really wanted to get you on here and talk about kind of the bigger news that's come from your guys' camp as of late. You know where I'm going with this one. You guys are going to Scotland, man. That is absurd. I'm scrolling through the feed, my timeline, whatever, on the D1 Rage account the other day, and I got to know how that came along and really how long it was in the making that something like this could really come to fruition for you guys.
For the most part, when I got hired, my old head coach, a mentor of mine, a man I love, Jim Cole, who I played for, he went with a group at Alma to Finland in the 80s. And, I just heard great stories and things like that. And so we actually had a trip planned in April of 2020, but March of 2020 happened and it got canceled. So,
man,
we're doing things better this way this time, because since then we've been doing a lot of fundraising to help alleviate the cost. There's going to be some out of pocket, but we've done a good job the last couple of years.
That's incredible.
And so now we're going to be going in April. On April 27th, 2024, we're playing the East Kilbride Pirates near Glasgow.
That is something else, man. Yeah, and I was trying to do, what kind of host would I be if I didn't do a little bit of research? But East Kilbride won the championship over there. They brand themselves as Scotland's #1 American football club. First of all, club is just hilarious to me because that makes me think of like the other football, right? Which is funny.
Well, but these guys, I mean, they work all day. They practice a couple times a week, and they are playing a sport that they love that isn't even, traditional in their country.
Yeah.
And here we are, a D3 team that none of my guys are getting paid to play. They love to play football, and here we're going to go over there. We've talked about a possible clinic with them the night before, the day of the game. So that's Saturday. And then the general manager that I talked to said that the post-game group banquet is going to be fun. So I don't know what that means.
He left it at that, huh?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. But but I don't. So I won't promise you on this show, but if I commit to working out, there is a chance that, this isn't NCAA allows it, permits these games, but it's not sanctioned, right? So there's some different rules. But so I might have an opportunity to lace up the cleats one more time and take one snap or something like that.
Hey, we like the sound of that.
Here we go.
We like the sound of that. That would be awesome. And I'm sure. Go ahead.
The ultimate would be coach the first half in a kilt. Second half, come out and play a couple plays.
Throw the pads on.
Yeah.
Come on, we need it.
That'd be awesome.
We need that.
And selfishly, right, by then, so my oldest son is a freshman here and on the team. And then I've got a senior in high school. He's coming. I would have an opportunity to suit up with two of my boys and, maybe.
Hell yeah.
That's
Family affair for the couch fam.
That'd be sweet.
That is so sick, man. Could you imagine being able to go do something like that? I mean, just like their situation.
2 generations on the field at the same time.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Well, crud, now I got to suit up my dad. All right.
We go get all
3 generations on the field at the same time.
That'd be legendary. Man, that is so sweet. And just kind of, to continue on that, if this is something that, assuming you guys have had this time to plan, it goes well, is this something that you're planning on being a reoccurring trip for teams down the line? I'm sure you're expecting that question out of me.
Yeah, I would love to do this every player's cycle, right? So once everybody gets an opportunity once while they're here. So might be after your freshman year, it might be after your senior, depending on how it falls, right? But there's a couple obvious advantages. We get extra practices to prepare for that game. You're not going to go in there cold and play a game. So I think we're allowed 10 practices, right?
Okay.
More so to me is 7 to 10 days. Those aren't exactly finalized yet, but are going to be talk about team bonding. I mean,
that's huge.
You're going to be in a different country with your buddies, and it's going to be an amazing experience. I can't wait.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask, was because, you guys are over there and, you're going to play the game, you're going to do the banquet, you can say maybe a clinic or whatever, but I have to imagine this is going to be more than just a 2 or 3 day trip. You guys are going to make something out of this and talk about if, it's still early, but what else do you guys have planned as of now, and what could this trip really turn into for the guys?
So we're certainly going to hit Edinburgh. We're going to, do that city. Over to Glasgow because that's near the game. Another nice city to walk through. I asked our travel person, I really want us to go up into Inverness, up in the Highlands, and something stupid. So when I was in college, I was able to study for 3 weeks in London, and a couple of us in the class said, we bought a rail pass and we took off to Inverness, Scotland, and I found the cheapest golf course I could find. So I golfed. Now I can claim I golfed in Scotland, right? And
there you go.
It was no better than, it was, but I can say I did it, right? And then we went even over to the loch, and we went down to the Andes, and we jumped in the loch there, and I can claim I swam with Nessie, the Loch Ness monster. Right?
Oh shit, that is awesome.
I want to take the team, and we can have a team jump in with that. And let me tell you, that water doesn't get like above 40. It was so cold.
Hey, that's some Lake Superior type water.
Another place I know.
Yeah, I was saying we know a little something about that up here, Coach.
Yep, exactly.
Now, no mythical beasts up here in Superior that we know of.
That we know of.
Is certainly.
I remember getting back to the cab, and he was like calling everybody. You wouldn't believe these bloody Americans. I mean, and it was awesome. Like, he's like, nobody does this. Nobody's this stupid. And I'm like, now I can say I swam with Nessie. You kidding me?
That is awesome. And before I won't hold you too much longer. Before I let you go, though, just to talk about, wrapping things up with signing day and bringing in that next class, talk about the program taking the next steps. But more importantly, what do you do? Do you just walk into a high school now? I mean, you won the league, just won a playoff game. You're going over to Scotland. Do you just walk in and hand them your number and then hit the door, or how does that work now?
No. Come on, man. I don't put on a helmet, but I wear a hat sometimes. So I want it to still fit. And
good.
No, absolutely not. Right. I mean, there's so many great institutions, so many great schools and opportunities in the state of Michigan, right? I mean, how many schools have football?
Yeah.
So the competition here is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's great for kids to have opportunities. So high academics and passion to play football and desire to win, right? That's where every school, wants those kids. And so
yes, sir.
more doors are open for them. But it has, I think, sparked the interest of more. We've had more recruits coming to campus and visiting us. See more guys that maybe the level of play they didn't think Alma was there, and now they see that we are. And so some that might compete with some Division II offers and things along that line.
There's been a lot of news like that this year. I know there's a couple different teams in your league that have pulled in some guys, unsuspecting really, as far as where different evaluators, whatever, had them placed to be going to these schools. And, you're gonna surprise some teams, gonna put some teams on the map this year. I think it's great for all levels of football. And we just talked about Ithaca the other week on the podcast, somewhere where I took a couple of visits out in New York. Because of their broadcasting program and what they've been able to do and go and play in MetLife, where I went out there for that game, and then they just played in Yankee Stadium this past year. And for these teams at this level to go do things that are this special, I don't think that can be put into words. One, the experience for the players and the coaches, but for the alumni and for everyone involved and all these different parties, just what you guys are able to do, I'm so excited to see the future on the field, obviously, but then the trip to Scotland and everything else you guys do on and off the field. I feel super privileged to have you and Ettinger both on here, man. But like I said, I cannot thank you enough. This has been great. You're the man. I would love to have you on whenever you're willing.
You let me know. This has been a lot of fun, and so good luck to you guys. Not just what you're doing right here, but also on the field and in the classroom, and keep killing it, man.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Killed style from up in Marquette, Coach. We appreciate you a ton.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night. We'll see you. Great talking with Coach Couch. Like I said, he's going to be a recurring guy on the show. I hope so. And, if this season was any inclination of what that team's going to do in the near future, we'll have good reason to bring him back on, especially when they come back from Scotland. You know what I forgot to ask was, I was like, can we get a bagpipe competition with the guys when they go over there? That'd be electric.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be so sick, dude.
That'd be funny.
Like, let's go. We got like 5 pairs of bagpipes. Who has the best pipes on the team?
That's
clever.
It is.
I think that's not bad.
I mean, it's a very team bonding thing.
That's what you're saying. I think that's big. And I also think about Michigan does a lot of that. The Michigan football team.
They went to
does a lot of that. Was it Greece or Rome?
Yeah, but I think they went on a travel through, and then they came up here.
They traveled through Michigan.
They did travel through Michigan. I actually went on a cruise of Pictured Rocks with the Michigan football team while working for the news station up here. So I met Harbaugh and all the guys. McCarthy was on the ship. All those guys. So we went on a cruise. They were not as enthused as probably what they were when they were going to Greece or wherever.
Yeah.
But Pictured Rocks is pretty cool. Music's a cool little spot. So they did some travels around the UP, which is sweet. But we're going to talk about some D2 guys and the small school guys that are getting invited to the NFL Combine. There are 3 of them, and as you'd expect, pretty obvious picks. One of them we might not be as familiar with, but the first one out of the GLIAC, Caleb Murphy, the defensive end out of Ferris State, just finished up playing in the East-West Shrine Bowl, broke the single-season single-season NCAA record, for sacks in a year with like 25 and a half. The Ted Hendricks Award winner, the first non-FBS winner to win that award in its over 20-year history, let alone Division II player. And we know the other guys who come off of that award. Aiden Hutchinson was last year's winner. You got guys like Bradley Chubb, Jadeveon Clowney. Those are the type
Terrell Suggs is on there.
Huge.
Yeah,
huge. And Terrell Suggs was the former sack record that he broke, I believe, correct?
Yeah, and it was one of the years that he won it is the one that he broke it in. But it was it was pretty crazy.
It's just special. It's wild to see like that type of award go to someone at this level, but he's absolutely deserved it. Like I said, just played in the East-West Shrine Bowl and has put a lot of people on notice. And I think a thing that helps him a lot too is, I mean, first of all, he won back-to-back national championships at the D2 level, but when you're playing that many games and you make that deep of a run to the playoffs every year, more film, correct? But not only more film, but you're getting film against quality teams. The teams that they beat, one of them being Tyson Bagent, we'll talk about him in a second, against the Shepherd Rams, who the best offense in the country, people were saying, back-to-back years with the former Harlan Hill winner. You're playing against teams like that, and let's not forget that Shepherd has a tackle in Joey Fisher that is making a ton of noise, and his draft stock has only gone up and up. He actually got an invite to the Reese Senior Bowl after his performance in a different week of camp there. I forget where, but when you're getting film against these guys that are going to go play at the NFL level, not to mention two guys from Ferris in Pasquale, and I forget the other name, but they have two tackles in the last couple of years that have gone on to at least get shots in the NFL at Ferris. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these are guys you're competing against every day, kind of trading knowledge with, trading technique with. The 6'4", 245-pound senior, Michigan native as well. Originally was at Grand Valley, correct?
He was his freshman year.
Yep, and then transferred over to Ferris. He's a guy that has just made a ton of noise and is someone that I think we're going to see on some big boards. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get to like the Mel Kiper big boards. Like, it'll be a name that surprises some people. I'm excited to see where he goes. And in the beginning, I think people were, before the awards kind of started coming in and things, people were like, yeah, like he's got he'll obviously get a shot as a free agent if nothing pans out. But like people are like, yeah, he's got a shot at maybe a 6th round. You know, like he could get picked 5th round. And now you're like, wait a minute, this guy could be like, I don't want to sound ridiculous. He could be like a 3rd round draft pick.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking 4th round.
Yeah,
but
I don't think like a late question. I don't think a late 3rd round draft pick is actually ridiculous at this point.
No, I could. That was my first guess. 3rd round.
You think so? And that's like the company you're in there. I mean, we've seen guys. The 2 guys for the Lions that they picked up late in the draft. You look at the 6th round pick in Rodrigo, and he's a PFF all-rookie team. James Houston's another great example who started playing halfway through the year and put up incredible stats.
Wasn't he 2nd in rookies and sacks?
Him and Hutch had the most combined sacks, rookie sacks, and some record. But the late round picks you can certainly get production out of. But I don't know if I don't know if Murphy's going to fall that far. No. I really don't. I'd love to see the comparisons. Obviously, there's other talented edge rushers, but with a position that has been at such a premium as this one in the NFL in the last couple of years, I'm excited, dude. It's gonna be pretty cool. Like, we're not like, I don't want to like fanboy it, but it's just cool to see a dude from Michigan and a dude from our league, to get his name announced on draft day. Yeah. Right? I mean, I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Here's a little comparison for you. So Matt Judon, who played at Grand Valley.
There you go.
He got drafted in the 5th round in 2016.
Sweet.
And he had an amazing year his senior year, but
nothing compared to
it wasn't,
what he's got going on right
now. You know what I mean? Like, so I could 4th, even late 3rd round is definitely plausible.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt.
I would agree. And it's an accurate comparison. Same league, making that same jump.
Yeah. That's why it's a great comparison. They're not exactly similar players and how they play.
And I'm saying he's obviously such a different part in his career, but he's like Grand Valley's golden boy over there.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
They had him narrate a piece for them when they were heading into the playoffs. It was pretty sweet.
Oh really? Judon always is like, he seems like a very great guy. Like I've heard.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. He definitely does. We got to see if like we get like Mariucci to narrate some long form piece for us. It'd be pretty dope. That'd be pretty sick. I'm gonna have to make that happen. But the next guy I want to talk about, Tyson Bagent, out of Shepherd University. He's the 6'3", 210-pound senior quarterback. The Harlan Hill winner, not this year, but last year in maybe what happened like 2021, 2022 season.
Yeah.
He was also a finalist this year for the award as well. I believe he may have been in 3rd place behind Murphy and John Matoka out of Mines. This guy has made a lot of noise as of late. 6'3", 210, like I said, so decent frame as far as quarterbacks are concerned. Maybe not your typical like sit and pocket pass, just sturdy built, you know what I mean? But like a big enough frame, and he's athletic enough. His arm talent has shown the last couple weeks. Yeah. He went and balled out at the Hula Bowl and then was invited to the Senior Bowl, the Reese's Senior Bowl, along with his tackle, Joey Fisher. And this kid has just continued to impress a lot of people. And I know you and I were talking about, we saw different articles and things from the Senior Bowl, which is really the top of the top.
It really is.
Like the upper echelon of, players preparing for the draft. That he might have had the best arm talent there.
Yeah, I saw people saying like he was out competing most of the quarterbacks there. Like he was right with them. Like they said he outplayed Max Duggan. There's a big name for you out of TCU, And like that's just a name that everyone's gonna know.
Of course.
And he was outplaying him like the whole time. I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw it on Twitter somewhere. And yeah, it just seems like he's definitely boosting his draft stock a lot.
Yeah.
Or at least I don't even know if he was in conversation to really get drafted per se.
Not before this, especially.
Yeah, not before this. But now you got to think at least a 6th round pick. Someone's going to want to.
Yeah. Now his performance during the actual Senior Bowl game was nothing super noteworthy. Jake Haener from Fresno State actually came out and had he kind of balled out in that game. Yeah. So his stock went way up out of Fresno. He was one that definitely made an impact. Jaron Hall out of BYU was a guy I think a lot of people were impressed with, one of those bigger names. Duggan was a guy that was there. Shepard is right on that list. Clayton Tune out of Houston. Malik Cunningham from Louisville, I think, is a name that a lot of people will recognize. And, it's just interesting that I guess also Hendon Hooker was there. I didn't realize this. He was not able to play, obviously, coming off that surgery, but he was still there. It looks like he was in Mobile for this. Is it Mobile? How do you use Mobile?
In Mobile?
Mobile, was he moving?
No, like Mobile. I think the place is called Mobile. I've never really understood that. But like their hashtag is like hashtag the draft starts in Mobile.
Oh, Mobile, Alabama?
Mobile. Oh. That's how you say it?
Mobile, yeah. I didn't know you were talking about
every day.
The city.
Yeah, it's Mobile.
It's Mobile, yeah.
Why do they spell English is such a dumb lange?
It really is.
There's some crazy wording.
That's bullshit.
But this just shows you how big everyone crazy. Like the Senior Bowls and everything. They weren't I remember growing up, they weren't a big thing. I never really watched the Senior Bowl. Yeah. But a guy like this who's now making a name for himself and his draft stock is just going through the roof.
It might not be a big deal for casual fans, but I'm telling you, every NFL team is in attendance at these.
They got a scout there at least.
And because not only that, they're having guys that coach in these bowls, right? So
did you see Belichick at the Senior Bowl? He was he's one of the coaches, one of the few. He's out there coaching all these guys. Very hands-on.
For the coaches to get a chance to go out there and have that opportunity to be with these guys and see how they react to coaching and see how they move up close and personal and just be on the field with them, I think that's invaluable for coaching staff, especially for an elite evaluator like Bill Belichick. We've seen some interesting things out of him in the past. Remember, he went to Middle Tennessee and missed the draft, the combine. He missed the combine, went to Middle Tennessee State to work out some defensive end in the middle. It was out of left field, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's Bill Belichick." If anyone else were to fucking do that, they would have cooked the shit out of him on the internet and never let him hear the end of it. I don't even know if they ended up taking the dude out of MTSU.
No, they didn't.
But because it was Bill Belichick, they were like, "Oh, he's chess. Yeah. Chess, not checkers. Chess, not checkers, dude." He doesn't need the combine.
Maybe he just doesn't want to go to the combine when he has all these other scouts. That's the easy part. You know what I mean?
I'm saying he's not the only talent evaluator in the Patriots building. Yeah,
maybe that's just what he enjoys. He gets to go be hands-on more. Like at the combine, he's not. He has to go sit and watch.
He doesn't care who they take. As long as they get a big quarterback, they'll be all right.
Yeah. Speaking of big guys, offensive lineman out of Minnesota Duluth, the Northern Sun Conference, Brent Lang. He is 6'4", 294 out of Lakeville, Minnesota, and he is the third guy we're going to talk about today a little bit. And the one that I really am the least familiar with out of the three of these guys, the other two have made some decent headlines. Not to say he has not. His draft stock has certainly started to rise, and when you get invited to the Combine, that is a good indicator that you
he got invited to the NFL Combine?
Yes. There you go.
That's big.
Huge. These three guys, that's their common piece there, all going to the Combine.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now, with him, he was
hey, lock in.
He was a huge leader for that team in what I've read, and he was all NSIC first team recognition for the second time in his career, so 2-time all league player first team. And what I've seen about him is, I don't know if he's a quickness thing. He's 6'4", 294, which NFL size is not going to blow anybody away. No. Correct? No, I think that's nothing crazy, right? I mean, we just had a guy sitting in here the other day that was 6'7", 300 pounds.
6'8".
Yeah. Who does not have the experience that this guy does. Let's remember that, obviously. No. But Brent Lang, definitely look for him to potentially get his name called. And even though he was not invited to the Combine, Joey Fisher out of Shepherd, who I've talked with a little bit. I'd like to get him on the show if I get the chance, just talk about the Senior Bowl and other type of things. Look for him and Brent to both potentially get their name called on draft night. And if they don't, definitely to get a chance as an undrafted free agent. So 2 offensive linemen to watch coming out of D2 this year. Both of them have made huge strides in their stock. But moving on, Wayne State, new head coach, Tyrone Wheatley. I'll pull up the article here, but like I said in the intro, this guy was a former All-American at the University of Michigan. He went on to play in the NFL. He went on to coach in the NFL for a little bit, actually. Most recently was with the Broncos in some type of capacity. And what's really cool about this as well is he was the head coach at Morgan State before going to the Broncos.
Yeah.
Did not have a lot of success over there with the Bears, we'll say.
Yeah.
The record was not great.
This FCS?
Yes, I believe it is FCS. It's Division One. And that's not to say he won't have success at Wayne State. He's from Detroit initially, so I think a pretty obvious hire for them. Someone who has that breadth of experience, that breadth of work. But like I said, let's talk about the cojones of the Wayne State interim athletic director.
Yeah.
Comes in again as an interim, not like fully hired. I think her first action, her first move after getting the title, Coach Winters, see ya. See ya. You
Big
know,
name too. Big name too.
Coach Winters has been there for
He won a
a
national
minute.
championship there.
Yeah, and I think that's what they had kind of been hanging their hat on for a long time.
That was 2010.
Exactly. No diss at Coach Winters.
Oh, no,
I know a lot of guys who are, feel really strongly about him and just love him as a coach and as a man, but they haven't had that success as of late. 2018, they had a year where they finished, I believe, second in the GLIAC, outranked Grand Valley, beat Ashland, and they had a really good year. And since then, haven't seen much. That was kind of the oddball of the bunch.
Yeah.
Right? That was kind of a fluke year. I don't want to say fluke, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, this is what it was.
I mean, they haven't had success.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
Yeah. And people could come at us and be like, well, you guys haven't. Yeah, we haven't. All right. But we're not talking about us. We're talking about Wayne State. So shut the hell up. So anyways, Coach Tyrone Wheatley, we want to talk about him, though. We don't talk about us. Here's the little graphic. By the way, sick-ass graphic.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
What a clean graphic,
it is
dude.
good.
He's got a Bills hat on there, so he must have been with the Bills before
been-
the Broncos.
I'm pretty sure it was before he was at Morgan State. He's been to a bunch of different NFL teams as the running backs coach.
Yep, that makes sense.
7 or 8 of them, I think.
Damn.
Like, he bounced around for a few years. I can't remember all of them, but
He is the 20th coach in Wayne State history in over 100 years of football at the university. So
That's crazy.
You're averaging over 5 years for a head coach. That's not bad. That's pretty average, actually. You know what I mean?
I would
About
say
5
it's-
years.
yeah. It's probably average. I don't know.
Because that's when you kind of give a coach like, okay, 5 years, you've had your chance to get your recruiting classes in here and things like that. Honestly, it's kind of a high number for 100 years because that means you're just kind of recycling in and out. But Winters had a very long stead, so I would like to see what that number was
Do you know how
before
many years he
him.
was there?
That's a good question. Over 12. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Well, he was there in 2010.
exactly. So, yeah, over 12 to 13 years. So,
And you got to think he
definitely an
didn't just
anomaly.
come in 2010. So it's probably been
yeah, he definitely didn't just come in and inherit
Yeah.
a national championship team.
Yeah.
But no, talking about Wheatley a little bit more. Let's see here.
Would you like to hear where he's been at?
Go ahead.
So he was at Ohio Northern in 2008 as a running backs coach.
Got it.
Then he went to Eastern Michigan running backs coach. Then Syracuse running backs coach from 2010 to 2012. Then the Bills for just 1 year, 2013, 2014. Then went to Michigan as a running backs coach. Then the Jaguars. Then Morgan State as a head coach. Then the Broncos, and now Wayne State. So he's bounced
big
around.
names. Those are some big names.
Was a first round draft pick by the Giants, by the way,
Really?
coming out of college.
I knew he was really good in college. I didn't know that.
17th overall. 10-year professional career. Spent his last 6 seasons with the Oakland Raiders. So, pretty sweet. He said between the two organizations, Wheatley rushed for almost 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, added 900 receiving yards. So, I don't think he was by any means
7
like a...
receiving touchdowns as well.
Yes, and I don't think by any means he was like an all-pro type player at the next level, but had a pretty decorated career in the NFL and a 10-year career for a running back.
It's
And no
impressive.
matter
It's pretty
your
good.
Very
production,
There's a
is-
shelf life for sure.
exactly the shelf life is a really good turn. So that is pretty sweet. And I think the biggest thing that he had to say was just about being in Detroit and like talking about this is home. And the big thing for Wayne State right now is like this is our Detroit, right? And I think that's kind of like their brand kind of right now. And like he really wants to embody that. And he's talking about really just bringing that into their program. I'm excited to see what he does. He's the 4th new head coach in the GLIAC heading into the 2023 season. So there's a lot of things up in the air. 2 of those 4 are internal hires.
Yeah.
We'll say that. So not a lot of turnover up at Michigan Tech or down at Grand Valley, but pretty sweet stuff on that end. NFL side of things, we'll keep chugging forward. Want to start Super Bowl? Let's go Super Bowl first, huh?
Sure.
Just kind of quick. Nothing too crazy. Everyone's talking about the Super Bowl. We can just touch on it.
Yep.
It's this weekend, and I just want to touch on a couple of guys that we're expecting to play in the Super Bowl. The latest on Patrick Mahomes is that he is fully practicing. He's going to be ready to go. I don't think that's many surprise to people because thankfully his ankle didn't get any worse in that AFC Championship game. And you know they had him drugged up on something for that because he looked like he was running good.
Yeah. He went in the locker room and took him in. But I mean, a competitor like that,
Patrick, why don't you come over here real quick? I got someone that wants to see.
Think about how much he was in the their version of training room, which is just, their technology that they have in their training
next
room.
level.
Next level. So he's probably living in there. Think about what he has at his house. He has a $500 million contract or whatever. He probably has his own training room in his house, the top of the line equipment. You know what I mean?
Be badass.
Like I'm sure
fully staffed.
He can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, but it'd be a joke if people didn't think he was going to play. A competitor like that, like him or not, he's a competitor.
Yeah, and then the other big, I don't say it's big news, but the other relevant news for Kansas City is that Kadarius Toney, who has been battling a back injury, I believe, he's fully practicing. That's good news for Kansas City. With them, and people had kind of questioned their receiver core for a little bit, but they've been able to spread the wealth well, especially throughout the postseason.
I think, in all honesty, I think that the Chiefs this year are a better team than when they had Tyreek Hill. I think that them spreading the ball around has made them better overall.
It's definitely impressive. So him being back adds to that lineup of some guys that already have had really good games, and MVS had a breakout performance in that AFC Championship. He was kind of the one that shouldered the burden for the most part for that wide receiver room, which has been pretty cool to see for him. And on the other side of the ball, Lane Johnson on the Eagles, the tackle that has made a lot of headlines here in the last couple of weeks, mostly because he's playing with a torn adductor in his groin. That is incredible.
It's very impressive.
And not only is he playing on it, he's going to suit up for the Super Bowl. He held Nick Bosa without a sack in the NFC Championship game.
Crazy.
On a torn groin.
I don't even get how you do that.
How do you get up out of a stance?
No, I mean, you got to kick step backwards.
Yeah.
And that is almost all groin.
As another grown man, as a probably depoy, is running at you to pass rush. I can't get over that.
One of the best to do it right now.
I cannot get over that. Now, the story with him is kind of interesting because he knew he had the torn adductor and he needs surgery, but he said, okay, let me finish the year because he's a badass. Yeah. So he's like, let me approach a rehab route that will allow me to play and finish the rest of the year. After the year, I'll get the surgery. So that's what he's kind of been doing. He was able to come back when they started making this kind of playoff run. And this time right now, you obviously get that extra week before the Super Bowl. He said that was huge for him because it's another week of, yes, he's practicing, but it's like,
I can't
they're limiting his ass over on the practice field. Yeah. So for him to be in there getting rehab and most importantly, rest. Like you can only rehab so much. You still got to rest. So the extra week for him, he said, has been huge. Still planning on getting the surgery after the season, but I can't get over that, dude. I think it's impressive as hell. Yep. That's ridiculous.
It really
warrior.
Is ridiculous.
But we got any score predictions? I'm not a big score prediction guy, but
I got Eagles winning.
Do you?
See, I got Chiefs winning.
I got Chiefs winning by 10.
I like that. I think it's gonna be high scoring though.
I think I would put the spread at like
it's like 1.5 right now. It's crazy.
Is it really? I was
gonna
say Chiefs minus 5.5 spread or something like that. That's what I would have guessed.
I think the Eagles are favored.
Are they really?
Look it up. I think the Eagles are favored.
I might have to.
But yeah,
damn.
That's so I looked at the spread the other day. I think it's 31-28 Eagles.
Yeah.
Solid score prediction.
That is a solid score
prediction. That's the score prediction.
Game-winning field goal.
I think it's going to be like 35-28.
I checked the spread a week ago, so.
Spread is minus 1.5 for Philly, at least on this that I'm reading. So, that's pretty crazy stuff. Not what I would have expected.
Crazy. No,
not
I
what I would have
expected
at all.
Chiefs. Did you see like the last 6 Super Bowls have been won by the team in white?
I did see that stat.
Weird stat.
Pretty crazy.
Or the team that won the coin toss has lost the last like 7 times.
Someone that doesn't give a shit about any of that is Christian McCaffrey. This is fucking hilarious. He says, I don't want to see anyone win the Super Bowl. He came out on a show and basically said that I hope both teams lose, is what he told the person on some podcast. This is so awesome. This salty little picture.
I think it's funny because like How many times have you said that watching two teams? Like, I don't care about these teams.
Yeah.
Like, I just want both teams to lose.
Yeah, is there a way where both these guys just have a loss in the column at the end of the day? Because I would hate to see either of them win. I don't feel that way about the Super Bowl.
No.
I could, either team, I could be kind of happy for them.
Yeah.
But Christian McCaffrey obviously missing out after that NFC Championship game. The way that they lost that NFC Championship game, quarterback-less.
Yeah.
Kittle's post-game speech. That reporter asked that question, and I don't even know what he asked. But are you sad that you lost because you didn't have a quarterback? And he just like looks at the guy, and I'm like, what do you think he's gonna say to you? You know?
Yeah.
You really think he's gonna be cordial with you?
That's what we call boneheaded journalism.
Oh yeah. Have you seen some of the questions that like Jalen Hurts has gotten like for the Super Bowl?
Some of them are getting some of the Super Bowl stuff before the Super Bowl gets out of hand like crazy. The media is
there was one
rabid.
media guy. Listen to this. I don't remember where I saw this, but he was like, "To be honest with you, Jalen, I didn't think you guys would make it to the Super Bowl with you at quarterback." Jalen Hurts goes, "Okay, that's cool. Have a good day." He responded so professionally, like it didn't even bother
I think he's
him.
a class act.
That's Jalen, though. And that's what Sirianni
he's
said about him, is that he gave an example of some play against New Orleans where he capped off this crazy run, worked his way out of trouble, blah, 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 first converts the first down, and was just stone cold, right? And then a game later down the season, throws an interception, bad play, totally other side of the spectrum. Same face, like that. Same face, right?
Yeah.
That's that Alabama, right? That's that.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. That Alabama.
Nick Saban has always talked highly of him, even after he transferred.
Yes,
he still talks highly of him.
Yeah,
like all you hear is good things about Jalen Hurts. People always
and Alabama's still trying to claim him.
Well, I mean, you're going to try to claim him as
Yeah,
many
of course you
Heisman
are.
winners as you can.
Yep. It's just funny. That argument is kind of funny. I can see both. I mean, he was at Alabama. He played a ton of meaningful games there, won a lot of games there. I get it both ways. But we can pivot. We can pivot over to another side of the NFL.
Dang.
This is pretty crazy, boys. This is from Dov Kleeman, and he is reporting on this. Now, he's just the messenger here, right? This is not Dov doing the reporting. But
Don't shoot him.
investigation has found that Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson's foundation has spent just 24.3 cents of every dollar on charitable activities in 2020 and 2021 combined. The foundation has raised millions, but only a quarter of it goes to charity. And actually, it's less than a quarter. 24.3 is not 25.
No.
Yep.
That is blasphemous.
It's a children's foundation, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
no?
they donate to kids. And
Yes,
it's
known as
even worse.
the foundation is known as the Why Not You Foundation, and it was a 6-month investigation by USA Today Network that was published very recently. And this is a guy who won the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award in 2020.
Can they take that away?
Yeah, can you get it revoked?
I mean,
Reggie's
legit,
Heisman?
like
Reggie's
legit.
Heisman?
Yeah, I mean, legit. Can
they
you take that away? I mean, that is not a Walter Payton Man of the Year.
I don't think this has ever occurred where someone that wins Walter Payton Man of the Year is not.
No,
You know how
I'm
much
not
they got to
doing it.
vet these guys before they just hand out these awards? Like, this must have been on the down low. Now, they got these numbers, I believe, from federal tax returns, which if you're a nonprofit like this, I believe all that information is public.
Yeah.
So, somebody
you
went
can look it
sleuthing
up.
around. You got to know if you're the dude. Like, at least cover it up. I mean, he had to have done something right because it's been covered up for this long.
Yeah.
But I guess we can get into a little bit more of the numbers here. And like it says, 24.3 cents of every dollar was spent on charitable activities. And
That's so bad.
nearly twice as much, 1.1 million, on salaries and employee benefits in that span, according to, like I said, the federal tax records. The salaries include more than 6 figures for an executive who also works personally for Ciara and Russell Wilson, which has nonprofit experts prodding it. I cannot believe some of these numbers. It's a Form 990 federal tax return. And it reported $7.5 million in revenue and $7 million in expenses during its first 8 years of existence. Less than half of the money, $2.8 million, or 39.6 cents of every dollar spent has gone to charitable activities. And that would have been through 2021. So they must have kind of turned it around after the fact. I'm not sure. But the remaining $4.2 million is paid for fundraising, administrative, and management expenses, including the salaries of 3 employees who have received $1.9 million combined between 3 employees within that his foundation.
A little over $600,000 each.
That's a real bad look for Russell. I don't know how he gets out of this one. I mean, the numbers show that
that's a federal form.
It's a federal form. This is not made up. No one.
In 2020, the year in which Wilson was given the Man of the Year award, his foundation reported $838,000 in revenue, $1.2 million in expenses, $257,000 on charitable organizations. Okay, very nice. $548,000 on salaries and employee benefits, meaning that about twice as much of the money went to executives in the foundation compared to charity. And I believe it says only 21 cents of every dollar went to charity. In the year that he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, only almost a fifth of the money was going towards actual charity, and the rest was padding the pockets of his employees.
They just didn't look at this stuff until now.
That really has me begging that question. I just do not.
I don't understand
at all how something like of this magnitude could slip by, and yeah, for Russ, I mean, it's not looking good, man. It is certainly not looking good.
No. Broncos country, let's ride.
It's crazy.
But it's just a bad look.
Oh, it is an awful look.
It's a bad look for the Broncos organization.
I mean, he's come under fire like time and time again for having his own guys, right? Having his own personnel and things, whether they be in the facility. There was talk at times of him having his own parking spot and other things in the Broncos facility.
His own office.
And his own office, those type of things. And, eventually some teammates came out to support him, but it took suspiciously long for them to do that while the headlines had circulated. This video has surfaced just in the last couple of days, and I think it's worth mentioning, from Ari, who is a great follow on Twitter, if you insist. But he says, new Broncos head coach Sean Payton on Russell Wilson having his own personal staff in the team building. And you'll hear the quote right here, but he says, that's foreign to me, as in he didn't know about this operation going on. That's not going to take place here. And so let's listen to what Sean has to say about the beginning of the Russell Wilson situation.
On the 30-second
Coach, Russell Wilson had a personal coach, Jake Heaps, in the building with access who wasn't on the staff.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that.
How do you feel about players having their own people off the staff in the building, access to players?
Yeah, that's foreign to me. That's not going to take place here. I mean, I'm unfamiliar with it, but our staff will be here, our players will be here, and that'll be it.
Shut that down immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Good. I mean, yeah, and he didn't, like you said, unfamiliar to him. He doesn't know probably the whole arrangement of the situation, just got the job, just getting in there. But in that interview process, you have to imagine that he's asking questions because he's in a situation as a head coach that not many head coaches are in, where you need him maybe more than he needs you.
Yeah.
He's got an analyst job locked up. He's an experienced guy who's won a lot of big-time games in the NFL. He could go basically anywhere he wants.
Yeah, any other team that needed a head coach would want him right now.
So in a position that he's in, you have to infer and you have to think that he's probably asking some of these questions, as in trying to figure out why he wouldn't want this job. Right? Yeah. I have to imagine he's asking some of those questions, and that he may be a little bit more aware of the situation at hand that he gives on. But nonetheless, he's not going to let that shit slide, is basically what he's saying there.
Yeah.
But, fellas, to close out our pod today, some interesting but optimistic news coming out of the Bills camp, and more specifically, the NFLPA medical director, Don Mayer. He guarantees that Damar Hamlin will, quote, play professional football again following his cardiac arrest. And that is something for me I really just can't wrap my head around. Just over a month ago.
No, that's crazy.
Just over a month ago, he went to cardiac arrest after making that tackle against the Bengals. And for something this optimistic to come out about his progress and his future in the NFL, this is the direct quote from the medical director of the NFL Players Association. He said it on SiriusXM. It's a heart-to-heart program.
Not a good.
I don't know how I feel about that title.
It's a heart-to-heart program.
Considering the cardiac arrest that we're talking about.
That's
But he obviously had that name in place before this. Anyways, he says, quote, I guarantee you that Damar Hamlin will play professional football again, quote. Are you speaking for him? I mean, are you, since when are you his
last
representation?
Is he saying medically he could play again?
No, he says, I guarantee you that Damar Hamlin will play professional football again. This is the quote. It's a different article, but it's a direct quote from the SiriusXM piece. Yes.
That's just crazy to me.
That's crazy.
And
why are you speaking on his behalf like that?
Yeah, that's weird.
Why can't we just hear it from homie himself?
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks ago, I mean, we were dealing with people think he was dead, and the NFL was trying to cover it up.
Yeah, we go from conspiracy theories to this guy's going to be gracing the turf again. Like, that is...
We've been all over.
That's not even a 180. That's like
that
a...
he
I don't
wasn't
even
at
know
the
what.
game.
720.
It was his twin. Him playing into it. Did you see on Twitter? He posted clone.
Like, he
next to
totally
his
played
thing.
He's kind of
into it.
fucking
And
around.
I'm like, yeah, you're playing
He thought
into
it was hilarious.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff here, though, on the heart topic. Hamlin launched a campaign in partnership with the American Heart Association to increase CPR awareness and education. Pretty cool. We saw
That's
the
big.
amount of outreach and support that his, I'm going to blank, and forgive me for blanking the actual name, but his foundation for getting toys to underprivileged children and others in medical systems and stuff like that, millions and millions of dollars funneled into that after following his injury, which is a great outcome of that. But the CPR, we talked about the Bills trainer that potentially probably saved his life. And for him to go back and to have this and honor him is pretty special. So that's cool stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. And I didn't want to start out with it, but, I figure we should mention it. A loss up here at Northern Michigan. I just wanted to close the podcast on this one today. Brian Schieweck, we got news today, and it's public information now, so I'm allowed to speak on it. We lost an alumni up here, one of our guys that played with us this last year, unfortunately, just in the last couple of days. And I just wanted to touch on it on the podcast because it's important that people hear it, and it's important that Schieweck was never a guy that you thought would be going through something like that, and we don't have a ton of details, and I don't know if we need a ton of details because that's not what's important. What's important is the fact that the time that we had with him was awesome, and he was a special dude. And it's really tough for people up here. And so it's sorry to take like a 90-degree pivot because I want to keep a ton of positivity on here because, things got to go on. And I think that's what Schieweck, we got to honor him in the stuff that we do, like we've kind of heard before. But it's hard. It's hard and it's terrible to hear stuff like that. So just another reminder to check in on your people, even the ones that you don't think need to be checked in on. It always feels good. And checking in on, you don't even have to, it don't even mean like, everything that it sounds like. Maybe just being there. Your presence is more than enough for people sometimes. And 100%. I think it's important that people understand that and that you never can really truly appreciate what someone else is going through, their situation, and just to cherish, especially for the athletes that listen to this podcast, to cherish the time with the guys that you have on your team because let's face it, that's the last time that, for a lot of us, that will be around a team like this and the last time we'll be around a lot of these guys. And like in this situation, potentially the last time ever. So it's powerful stuff, and if you have listened this far, I appreciate it. Our prayers are out to the Schieweck family and everyone else grieving through this time, and that's really all I can say. I wish I could give you a little bit more profound piece there, but if you've listened this far, thank you very much, and hopefully you can join us in trying to help them to move past this and recover from this, and more importantly, to shine light on this and to live every day in honor of Brian. Thank you.